Welcome back, guys, to CFL Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and we got our Week 15 preview, and we got 3 games coming up instead of the usual 4, so a little bit of a shorter week, but we'll get right into it. But first, before we get into that, we got to talk about today's sponsor, which is BetStamp. Now, BetStamp is not a traditional sports betting website. It does not offer you one money line. It will actually offer you many money lines from a variety of sources and other betting websites, so that way you can make the most for every bet you make. So make sure when you download it from the App Store, or if you use the link in the description below to the website, you will use code CFL Central, so that way they know that you're coming from us and you're saving money. So that way you can make the most out of your bets and get the biggest possible payout instead of whatever just your app will offer you. So thanks again to BetStamp for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into it. And yes, thank you once again to BetStamp for sponsoring this video. And let's get into our first game. And we have the Edmonton Elks versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. This game is going to be in Mosaic Stadium in Saskatchewan. And this is what Saskatchewan needed after struggling in that away game against the Bombers in the Banjo Bowl, where they got completely smacked. Edmonton also got completely smacked by Calgary in the Battle of Alberta. So this is really kind of a blessing in disguise in a sense. For each of these teams now having another opportunity, facing a team that just went through what they did, and, you know, having the same kind of motivations as they will going into this game. So I think this is going to be a really close game, despite, I think, Saskatchewan being a far better team. And this is really going to come down to defense, as, you know, Saskatchewan was able to put up 20 points against the Bombers, and the Elks, even more impressively, were able to put up 28 points against the Stampeders, which normally is absolutely enough to win you a football game when your defense is playing accordingly. And that's actually why I'm going to have to go with the Saskatchewan Roughriders this week. With the way that Hickson is being able to play, obviously he had a little bit of difficulty this past week with the Bombers' defense. However, what Edmonton's defense showed is that they weren't able to manage with Calgary, especially with Kadeem Carey. So I think Hickson, like Kadeem Carey, will take advantage of that and use that to the fullest extent. I think Taylor Cornelius, though, will have a pretty solid game. I think we'll have a decently high-scoring game. I think this is going to be a game of all offense, not a lot of defense. And yeah, simply because of the two similar situations these teams are in, I got to go with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I got to go with a high-scoring, really good game of football. I think this is going to be a good game. I think people are underestimating it a bit, and that'll be exciting. But we'll get into our next game, though, which is going to be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers versus the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Another Grey Cup rematch. Yeah, it's not really that much at this point, as Hamilton's lost so much, and so much in terms of games and talent, that this is not the same Hamilton team. And the Bombers, 12-1, first in the West against the Ticats, third in the East, 3-9. It's not looking good for Hamilton here. I predict that Winnipeg is going to stomp the Hamilton Tiger Cats with the impressive performance they had last week, as well as a very solid performance in Labor Day as well, showing they can play that way, both home and away. But Bombers coming off a very, very complete full game. I think it's going to be really, really important moving forward that they're able to keep that. And now if they win this next game, the Bombers will clinch a home game this playoff. Not the West Final yet, but a home playoff game. Most likely going to end up being the West Final with the way this season's going. But assuming all the shit hits the fan all at once, Bombers will for sure have a home game if they win this game against Hamilton. What does Hamilton need to do? Hamilton needs to do so many things. They need to completely shut down the Bombers' offense, and they need to get their own offense moving. They need to get them down the field, and I don't have the trust in Dane Evans to be able to get that done. And because of that, I'm going to have to go with the Bombers. I think they're going to win this game actually by a landslide. That's my prediction. But then going into our last game of the week, we have the BC Lions versus the Calgary Stampeders. And so the Lions are kind of in free-for-all right now. This is the situation with Rourke being out, Vernon Adams now in. Hopefully he's able to get that ball rolling there, but they weren't able to against Montreal. And now Calgary coming off an impressive performance over the Elks. Despite it just being the Elks, very much an impressive performance. Any game you get 56 points, you play damn well. You play damn well. That's just simply how it goes. And so I think it'll be an interesting matchup between Vernon Adams Jr. Against Jake Mayer. It'll be interesting to see how much the Lions decide to use Antonio Pipkin, just because it seemed like they switched to him for a bit this past game, as he was doing okay, and it's not exactly that bad getting some reps, and I think it'll just depend on the situation in the game. But this is very much going to be something where the Lions defense is going to need to come up big, as Calgary went up the non-existent defense in the Edmonton Elks this past week. And the Lions really need to be able to get that receiving game going, because when they get it going, they're able to put up quite a bit. Reminder, even though Calgary won with 56 points, they still gave up 28 points to the Edmonton Elks. So there's no question that the Lions will be able to make this a close game. And so I'm gonna bet that the Lions are gonna win this. I'm gonna say the Lions are gonna really get things going, and I think this is going to be a very close game. Either Calgary wins by maybe 3 points, field goal, 4 points at most, or the Lions will win in similar fashion. But I'm gonna give it to the Lions here. You know what? It's more of a gut feeling than anything. Logically, I think it's more logical to take the Stampeders here. But I'm just going to go with a gut feeling, because why not? I'm entitled to that, and so are you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Week 15 preview. I know it's been a little bit strange and a little all over the place, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it nonetheless, and I'll see you guys next time.